Okay, joining us right now is former Assistant U.S. Attorney David Weinstein. He is now with the Henshaw Law Firm.
And David, we actually have some late reaction from the White House to that BuzzFeed report, so let's take a listen first.
Sarah, did the president direct Michael Cohen to lie to Congress?
Look, that's absolutely ridiculous. I think that the president's outside counsel addressed this best and said in a statement earlier today that's categorically false.
So worst case scenario, if the allegation proves true, why is this such dangerous territory for the president?
Well, it's often the cover-up that's worse than the crime itself. And the problem here is for the president, if he's made a specific direction to Cohen to not give truthful testimony, then he's obstructing an investigation of Congress, and that's what's going to lead to charges potentially of obstruction or of impeachment. We know what Cohen's had to say so far already through his debriefings, through his pleading guilty to lying to Congress. We know he lied. So the question is, who told him to lie? Was it the president or was it somebody else?
Well, what about the fact that here's a guy that doesn't have much credibility and the president keeps pointing this out?
Well, his credibility can be bolstered in a couple of different ways. According to the report from BuzzFeed, his testimony is corroborated by emails, by communications, by testimony of other people. There's something that's called a two-snitch rule when you're presenting a case to a jury. You don't rely on just the testimony of one cooperating witness. You need a cooperating witness in something else. Another person who would testify to similar facts or other evidence that you can look at, that you can hold in your hands, that you can give the jury to look at.
Should we be concerned at all that there has been no further corroborating information coming from any other journalistic resources so far? No other newspapers or television stations able to corroborate this BuzzFeed report?
I think it should give us reason to pause. We should take this with a grain of salt. This is allegations that are made by two law enforcement officials, according to the BuzzFeed report, that have remained anonymous. Problems with anonymous sources is they can say whatever they want if not corroborated. This is just leading us all down a path which might end up not to be truthful. But we know that Cohen's lied to Congress in his testimony. So the question is, did somebody tell him to lie? Or did he just do it of his own volition? And
he's going to testify before Congress. That's coming up, so stay tuned for that. I want to ask you about Rudy Giuliani, because he has said some pretty interesting things, and he said an interesting thing recently. I think we're going to play it right now, and then I want to get your reaction to it.
I never said there was no collusion between the campaign or between people in the campaign.
Yes,
I have no idea if I have not. I said the President of the United States. There is not a single bit of evidence the President of the United States committed the only crime you could commit here, conspired with the Russians to hack the DNC.
Okay, so they're moving the goalposts, aren't they?
No, they're moving the entire playing field here. They're taking the tray of grass outside the stadium. Lawyers tend to use their words carefully. So first it was there's no collusion, then it was the president didn't collude, then it was the only crime in question here. What he's left unanswered is, did the candidate for the presidency make any statements, or was he involved? And the only crime to be looked at, it's not just the collusion. Here again, if these reports are true and if there's corroboration, there's obstruction on top of the collusion.
So David, is this all white noise until we hear from the Mueller investigation?
It's white noise until there's corroboration, whether that comes from the Mueller investigation, whether it comes from additional witnesses who testify in front of Congress, whether it's from additional indictments that are presented to the grand jury, released, other people who plead guilty. We're all just talking about it in a vacuum right now.
And Robert Mueller has run a very, very tight ship with very few leaks right now, that's for sure.
That's the way he operates, and if you talk to anybody who's worked with him, that is at the top of his agenda.
And the million-dollar question is, when might we see results from that investigation? No one knows still, correct?
I still think that we're in the 7th to 9th inning of the game here. I don't think we're going to go to overtime, but we're nearing the end. We will hear something soon.
Right. So 7th inning stretch, time to just stand up and stretch. Right.
David Weinstein, thanks so much for being with us tonight.